These aren't the stories your mother told you. No, these are the other stories.
Terry Rowlings, Success Coach. Written by Luke Kondor. Narrated by Ian McEwan. The guttural screaming woke him from his deep, meditative slumber. Terry Rowlings, Success Coach, had been working on his sleep efficiency for the past 3 months. A mixture of ice baths, chamomile tea, and a wind-down meditation routine had been a perfect formula for a deep, rejuvenating slumber. He opened his eyes to see the perfect silk bedsheets, paid in full by his latest Positivity Upgrade series of audio tapes, bloodied and torn. And where was Mindy, his beautiful ex-model wife who scented him in times of unease? "Mindy," he called. "You there, honey?" Drippings of blood trailed out from the bedsheets, past the bookshelf, stocked with all 5 of his New York Times best-selling self-help books, and out into the hallway. And then there was the scream again. It was difficult to call it a scream, more a wet growl. And then again, this one loud enough to get him out of the bed. He rolled to the side and stood up. He did a quick visual check of his body weight. A fine groove outlined each of his abdominal muscles. Solid definition. He glanced out of the bedroom window at his 3-acre garden with the center pool. He saw Juan, the gardener, and Keenan, the pool cleaner. They looked tired. And if Terry Rowlings' Success Coach's eyes weren't tricking him, he was sure he could see blood around their mouths. "What the?" he said to himself, noticing that Juan had completely messed up the fine line of the bushes that covered the security fencing. "Where's the pride, Juan? Come on!" He made a mental note to give Juan an inspirational pep talk and reminded himself to stay positive. That would solve everything. After all, he was Terry Rowlings, Success Coach. If he couldn't win with his positive attitude, then who could? And then the growl again. He walked over to the bookshelf, picked up his prized golf club, signed by none other than his favorite one-on-one client, Tiger Woods, and followed the trail of dark, bloodied blobs on the hardwood floor into the hallway. He didn't see Mindy. He saw Bono, their 3-year-old chihuahua. His eyes were glazed over with white, and a handful of its side had been ripped out. Terry Rowlings, Success Coach, had always found that owning pets was good for the soul. They gave one a sense of purpose, of being needed. Bono growled again, and Terry Rowlings, Success Coach, was shocked at the low resonance pouring outwards from his tiny mouth. He barked and began towards him, gnashing at the air. Poor dog has gone feral, he thought. Its eyeball must have been loose too, because as Bono ran, the thing slipped out of its socket and bounced up and down on the roof of his skull. Terry Rowlings, Success Coach, clenched his hands around the golf club. Success only comes to those who are willing to do the difficult things in life. As he spoke, he swung the club like he was out on the course shooting a few holes. He'd been mastering the perfect swing and was just about getting the knack of it. A crunch as it smacked against the skull, and Bono's eyeball flew up and off from the head and plopped as it landed in the luminescent tropical fish tank at the top of the stairs. "Hole in one," he said, smiling and pumping his fist, making a mental note to get Maria to clean up the brains from the wall. "Terry!" a voice called from downstairs. "Terry, help! Ah!" The blood along the hallway floor hadn't ended with Bono. The line of red went further up and down the stairs. Terry Rowlings, Success Coach, walked over to the stairwell and looked down. The trail drew a line all the way down the beautiful curved stairs to the body of his son. Bobby. Bobby was young, 16, captain of the school handball team, all A's in the previous quarter, vice president of his class. The boy laid motionless on the floor, a gaping open wound on his forehead like teeth against fruit. Mindy was stood over him in her silk dressing gown. She looked up to Terry, white as a sheet, before dropping to her knees, lifting Bobby's head, cradling him.
Bobby, why? Why?
She sobbed and wept and hugged him as if her negative attitude might bring him back. Before Terry made his way down the stairs, he turned to see his two gorgeous angelfish in the fish tank, Chi-Chi and Kenneth. He would often find himself standing and watching their little black and white fins undulate softly in the water, usually after a busy weekend performing one of his legendary 5-hour seminars. He'd find their musical movements uplifting. Bono's eyeball was on the surface of the tank, bobbing up and down as Kenneth sucked a hole out of Chi-Chi's side, the same pale eyes as the dog. Whatever it was, it had gotten to them too. He winced and turned away, took a deep breath, relaxed.
No,
Terry Rowlings, success coach, said as he parried away the shards of negativity.
I will remain positive.
He pointed to the ceiling victoriously before Mindy's screaming shook him from his posing. He looked down the stairs. Bobby was alive. It was a miracle. Oh, hang on. His eyes were glazed white and his mouth chomped away as he tried to take chunks out of Mindy's neck. Terry Rowlings, success coach, leaped down the stairs in 3 heroic leaps before swinging the golf club against Bobby's chin. A lump of Bobby's jaw flew into the air and broke cleanly through the window into the garden, stirring Juan and Keenan.
Terry, that was your son!
Easy now, Mindy, he said. He was only vice president of his class, for God's sake. Now, what say we get out of here?
I don't think I can do it,
Mindy said, wiping Bobby's blood from her fingers onto her dressing gown.
Of course you can, Mindy,
he said, using the same confident voice he'd used to train men and women all over the world to own their destinies and achieve their goals.
You just have to believe that it's possible.
He reached over and ran his finger across her cheek. She swooned a little and smiled. They nodded and then made their way to the front door, accidentally stepping on what remained of Bobby's head as they went. They halted and looked out at the peach-pebbled driveway that led all the way to the security fence. Juan and Keenan were in their way, all zombied up to hell, and were now joined by their cleaner, Maria.
Are you ready to reach your destiny?
Terry Rowlings, success coach, said as he held his hand out to Mindy. She nodded, and they erupted out of the door, swinging clubs and punches and kicks at the slow, vapid beasts. It was difficult. It was challenging, but they made their way, and they fought. They won. They were successful. Terry Rowlings, success coach, pressed the button on the side of the security gate, and the motors kicked into life, slowly opening, revealing the open world behind them.
Come on, darling, let's blow this. Oh dear.
Terry Rowlings, success coach, looked out at the army of walking dead. A patchwork of blood and graying skin. A groaning cacophony of hunger. Stay positive, he thought to himself. You only fail when you accept your failure. To win, you have to believe you can. A surge of pain in his neck. He turned. Mindy, eyes pure white and hungry, had some of his neck stuck in her teeth.
Damn it, Mindy, he said. I told you to remain positive. Ah!
More biting now as the army of zombies entered the open security gates and quickly surrounded him. He tried to swing the golf club to fend them off, but his head felt light with the loss of blood, and he tumbled to the floor. He felt as the zombie losers bit mouthfuls of his arms and legs and stomach away from his perfect body, ruining a lifetime of work. Terry heard a pop as one of them ripped his kneecap away, a slurping as one chewed away on his earlobe.
"Stay positive," he said aloud. "You can find a way out of this, Terry Rowlings, success coach, if you just remain..."
Mindy ripped the meat of his throat out and thumbed it into her mouth, her lips smacking away as she chewed on it like a dog with a steak. Terry Rowlings, success coach, closed his eyes. He tried to keep his thoughts on all the amazing things in his life. The success, money, freedom. But then he opened his eyes again and saw Bobby, half a head, tongue flapping out, crawling on what remained of his body, and he realized that positivity wasn't going to work this time. He really was fucked.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Other Stories. Terry Rowlings, Success Coach was written by Luke Kondor, narrated by Ian McEwen, with music by Tom Robson and Mayu. We're currently giving away 5 free signed copies of the quarterly collected print edition of The Other Stories. This volume collects all of the stories from volumes 1 to 3, with a few extras thrown in. For your chance to get your hands on one of these bad boys, go to www.hawkandcleaver.com/competition and enter your contact information. Until next time.